Welcome back to Livin' XX Forever. Today we're going to be playing Sickness. Let's get started. Murder, one of the most heinous crimes a person can commit. The act of taking another human being's life. The act of robbing a person of their already limited time on this planet. It is a fear-inducing crime which anybody can commit. Every housewife, every student, every police officer is a potential killer. It's a crime that doesn't discriminate by blood or circumstance. It is a crime which can be committed by everybody remains both a potential killer and victim, blissfully ignorant of the fact that they could be next assuring themselves that it could never happen to them. No. Okay. And so, as a result of the native, those very people never see it coming. Though the scene before me may seem horrific, in this case, as with so many others, there was no great story behind it. There was no build-up, no resentment between the victim and myself, no mutual hatred that gave us reason to fight. We didn't spend years at each other's throats. We had never fought before, and neither one of us saw this coming. In reality, this is the result of a simple common scenario, one we've all heard of before. Penny-pinching employer, a bankrupt employee, and a denied paycheck. Truly, there was nothing people about this encounter. My boss didn't taunt me or attempt to exacerbate the situation. He didn't fire me, insult me, or do anything to tempt fate. If anything, I'm the one who made things worse. Rather than trying to reason with him, I lashed out, beating the pompous man in front of me to a bloody pulp. I knew it wouldn't accomplish anything. I knew attacking him wouldn't get me the money I needed, and yet I needed to punish him. So, that's right. As self-righteous as it sounds, I couldn't let him get away with what he did. The money that greedy bastard owed me, a pittance to him was everything to him, to me. Oh my, sorry. It would have fed my sister and I, secured our lease for another month, perhaps even granted us a brief respite from the hell we're currently living. It was a shiny beacon in our otherwise miserable lives, a way to ensure our survival during such a trying, stressful time. But because of that narcissist whim, all people I had of repairing my broken life vanished. He wouldn't deny me shelter, food, comfort, and for what? Seats for his car, a fancy watch, a new TV. And so staring this injustice in the face, hearing firsthand how little my life meant to him, I snapped. Of course, as fitting as it may seem to reciprocate his indifference to my life by taking his doing so was never my intention. True, I wanted to kill him. I wanted to make him suffer for belittling my life, for denying me even a moment of peace. But I realized then, as I can clearly see now, that lashing out wouldn't have solved anything. So why did I do it? Why would I resort to this? Why would I deliberately choose this no-win solution? If I were to commit a criminal act, why resort to violence rather than theft? If this were truly about my wages, why seek revenge rather than alternative means of compensation? Fortunately, there's only one answer I can give, given which I am confident. You're losing your mind. It isn't the first explanation that came to mind, but it does make sense. A few hours ago, I would have laughed at the clutch of a criminal blaming the voices in their head, even more so at the notion that a person would act on the silent words of an unseen entity. However, as evidenced by the corpse at my feet, those words aren't so easy to ignore. As I attempted to survive in this two-class society, willfully believing that I was somehow immune to the corruption and classism plaguing this town, there was always a voice whispering to me, telling me not to believe the good fortune around me. A voice filled with skepticism, whatever, and doubt of preempting the inevitable, telling me to take action before it was too late. But you didn't listen. That was my first mistake. I ignored the inevitable advice offered to me. The predictions now shown to my accurate, the good faithful I received from someone asking for nothing in return. When it told me to stay in school and to live with a guardian, when it told me to seek work elsewhere, when it told me to look for a home somewhere safer, I didn't listen. Every step of the way I fought against the sound logical advice it offered. If anything, I made a point of doing the opposite of what the voice told me to do. Or at least, until you heard what you wanted to hear. And that was my second mistake. It wasn't that I refused to heed the voice's advice. I simply wasn't interested in taking a safe, reasonable, responsible route. So by the time that violence had become the advised course of action, my path had already been determined. Okay, this is like murder or something. Chapter 1, A New Life. Monday evening, September 5th. Less than half an hour ago, in this very room, I committed a serious crime. A very violent crime, the kind of crime for which people go to prison without any hope of ever leaving. I lost control of myself, attacked my boss, and without a doubt ended my short time working in this place. I acted on impulse as I stared into face an injustice that threatened to take away my home, allowing myself to do the only thing I could to avoid feeling powerless. But as the adrenaline wore off and the tension cooled, I soon realized my mistake. I saw clearly the fresh corpse at my feet, the stained carpet beneath it, and the bloody hands responsible for everything before me. And so it stared at my own handiwork, accepted the gravity of the situation before me, and took immediate steps towards regaining control once more. Marcus. You know, when you called me here, I figured you needed my help with something not strictly illegal, but this. So, my man, you have outdone yourself. You really do have a bright future ahead of you. Unfortunately, given my dire situation, my options were quite limited. Staring an imminent prison sentence in the face, I called upon Marcus, a co-worker of mine. Contrary to his crappy dye job and a lean figure, Marcus is a man of many trades, several of which aren't entirely legal. Since the moment I began working here, Marcus has been open about his criminal dealings, more than once, hinting that he could help me, or vice versa. And now that things have come to this, it's time for him to make good on that promise. Wait, less talking, more lifting. I'm here to help you two out, not take care of everything myself. The second Marcus saw our boss in his current state, he understood the situation. Without asking a single question, he promised to help me out of my predicament. Threat for terror, calling a man whom I'd never met before. And surely enough, upon seeing our boss's corpse, the stranger smiled to himself and grabbed Mr. Moodall's legs, dragging his body into the doorway before requesting assistance. Marcus, don't be like that. Surely a big, strong man like you can lift the weedy piece of shit by yourself. And get this poor sap's blood all over me in the process? Either give me a hand or do this yourself. Marcus and his acquaintance carried my boss's corpse into the stranger's van, which was parked just aside of Moto's office. Thanks to the proximity of my boss's office, nobody heard or scuffle over the machinery used within the warehouse. Goddamn dog. And Marcus' acquaintance was able to block visibility and access to the office with his vehicle. Even so, despite knowing how fortunate my circumstances were, I couldn't help but feel anxious. Whether these two successful cover-up matters death or not, there's no way this can end well. All it would take is one witness, or a slip of the tongue. I could wind up in prison. And even if I do get away with this, what then? Will I be in debt to Marcus forever? Will he ask for something extreme in return for his silence? No matter what scenario I envision, it doesn't bode well for me. Marcus, phew, that bastard's heavier than he looks. Tell me about it. I thought my corpse handling days were long over. His corpse handling days? This guy sounds like the right person for the job, but just who is he? Anyway, I'll handle the disposal. You two cleaning up in here, alright? You're the boss, and Andre. Just leave the rest to us. After all, that'll give us time to talk about repayment. And there it is. It's not unreasonable for Marcus to accept something in return. I called on him knowing full well that I need to repay the favor. Even so, just thinking about how he'd accept me to repay something like this. So, what do you have in mind exactly? Oh, nothing big, at least not for someone like you. But really, before we get into that, I've got to tell you, I picked you as a fighter from the moment we met. But to actually kill somebody, I seriously underestimated you. Marcus makes it sound like I planned on killing Murdo from the start. But I'm no killer, even if I've been in my fair share of fights. I've never tried to kill someone before. Marcus, with that in mind, I have the perfect job for you. I'm sure he does. But given the events leading up to this moment, I have to ask, is it a legal job? Sure, why not? As long as you don't get caught, of course. Figures. Oh, cheer up, I'm just messing with you. I've got the perfect job in mind for you. You'll be able to rake in money, feed that aggression of yours, and repay off your debt almost immediately. Interested? Hang on, you're offering to pay me while I repay you? Of course. Considering the reason why we're here, I thought it would be better not to get between you and your money. Whatever the case, what kind of job are we talking about? I brought you here to get me out of trouble. There won't be any point if you just drag me in deeper. Huh, you really don't have any faith in me, do you? Well, so be it. Just keep in mind that you're worth more to me alive and well than in prison. That is a fair point. Not that you have a choice anyway. If you want all of this kept secret, then you're gonna do exactly as I say. Oh my god. He's gonna murder me some way. Richmond, a town riddled with crime and corruption. Richmond is a vast town, a collection of smaller districts, each varying significantly in terms of wealth, density, and population density. Large enough to entrap millions of everyday citizens, yet dense enough to suffocate any who dare reside within. It's a complicated town, misunderstood even by those living within its walls. But beyond the size and scope of this town, there's one aspect which stands out above all others. Its concentration of wealth. This is a town wherein the wealthy flock together, creating their own small utopia. They build up selective parts of the city, sculpt the wall to their liking, and generally get away with whatever their bank balance will allow. The end result has been the creation of a state-sized town